A wise man once said, good video game music can make a bad game good, a good game great, or a great game a masterpiece. This same wise man once said, the same, or close to it, can be said of a good video game introduction or prologue. And if you haven't figured it out by now, that wise man was me. And you're watching episode 1 of my brand new video game music series. For this first episode, I decided to start with a personal favorite of mine, Valkyrie Profile for the PlayStation 1. This game comes direct from my childhood. And it's a great game to start off with because it has a great introduction, a great prologue, and great overall music. Not to mention a very underrated story. To this day, this is a very underrated, lesser known RPG. It's not quite up there with the King of Kings in terms of how commonly known it is and how commonly played it was. So I actually borrowed this game from a friend back in the day. And he's the one who told me about it. And I would have given him one of my games. I think I gave him Romance of Three Kingdoms number 4 Wall of Fire, a Koei game for the PlayStation. And so I didn't get to borrow this for very long. And because of that, I wasn't able to beat it. Okay. But I did get far enough to know all about the amazing story and know all about the amazing music. And I will go back and beat this game. I'm planning to do that very soon. As soon as I finish beating 13 Sentinels for the Nintendo Switch, this is next on my list. Now, the music in Valkyrie Profile is certainly not the best. It's not the best game music ever made. It's far from it. There are plenty of other RPGs with better overall soundtracks than Valkyrie Profile. They have far superior soundtracks, but that said, this ain't no chopped liver. This soundtrack is still top tier. Okay, this is right up there with the best of the best. It ain't the best, but it's up there with the best of the best. And we're about to find out why. Remember what I mentioned earlier, the magic of this game is not just the story, it's that combination of many things, including the overall soundtrack and that great introduction and that great prologue, which we're going to be discussing. So I'm going to start by showing you the latter half of a roughly 10-minute prologue. This game has a very long prologue. And this is where you get a taste of the true story of this game. There's a lot going on in this game. It has a grand story, but the real heart of the story, the real story behind the story, is actually a love story between two childhood best friends, two young teens, Platina and her childhood first love, Lucian. They grew up together. They live in the same village together. Platina is around 14 years old. And in the prologue, we see Platina, she dies. Arguably even commits suicide. So there are some really dark, sad and dark themes going off right off the bat within the first 10 minutes. So you learn a lot of the backstory between the two characters. So obviously Platina, the girl, Lucian, the boy, they grew up as best friends. They live very harsh lives. Their parents treat them like absolute garbage. And they live in poverty. And basically Platina is treated like a slave by her own parents. So they treat her like she is not family. She's just a slave that is costing them money to keep alive. And Lucian actually had his sister sold into slavery by his parents in the same village. And actually, Platina's parents were about to sell her into slavery until Lucian warns her about this, and then the two of them run away together. So what I am about to show you is the original intro to the prologue, which means I did not take out the voice actors. A lot of people find that the voice acting is so bad that it actually takes away from the scene, and you can find content on YouTube where people have just removed the audio, or some comments will be like, hey, go watch the Japanese version, it's much better, because the Japanese actors do a better job. But I actually enjoyed it in its original form, and I'm showing it in its original form, which does take away a little bit from the music, because we're focusing on the music, not the voice acting. We're totally zeroed in on the music right now. But I'm showing it with the voice actors, and I'm not just showing the music, because that's how the player would have experienced this scene and this music. This music comes from this very scene. This is the scene, the music that I'm about to show you. So this is how you, the player, would experience this particular song, which means that there's voice actors that get in the way a little bit. I always found that they did a good job, but you are going to experience it how every player who ever played this game experienced it. And that's the way it was meant to be experienced. You can listen to the song after, solo, on its own if you would like. So the music here is some classic Valkyrie Profile music. It does do a really good job letting you feel the emotions of the scene.
Where?
It's so beautiful. Do you think this might be heaven?
It's bad luck to say such things.
I'm sorry.
These flowers, they're... Platina, we've got to get out of here. These flowers, all of them, they're... Weeping lilies!
Weeping lilies?
That's right. If we stay here, their poison will kill us. Platina!
If I were to fall asleep here, would I be able to just slip away?
What?
I can't stand it any longer, no matter how hard I've tried. Mother and Father have never treated me with kindness. If you care about me so much, Lucian, do you think... Do you think we might be reborn? That we might be reborn together? I'm so glad to have known you, Lucian, but I have too many awful memories. I just want to forget it all.
No! Wake up! I won't have it! You want to forget? Would you forget me too, Platina? Platina!
So the scene you just witnessed is a very memorable scene. Really sets the foundation for the rest of the game. That same scene later on plays a critical role to the overall story. And I'm not giving any spoilers here. Okay, there's no spoilers revealed here. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious based on the introduction and how long that prologue was that that particular scene would play a critical role. And that scene, so the reason why I had you watch that scene first was because that scene ties into the intro. There's an anime style intro and the pre-game intro, and that's what we're going to watch next. But before I show this to you, I want you to pay very close attention to the final scene in this intro. The final maybe 5 or 10 seconds, I think maybe it's a minute 30 roughly for the intro. Final 5 or 10 seconds. And I want you to pay attention to both the scene and the change in the music that occurs. Okay, there's a drastic change. The music changes with the scene. When the scene changes, the music changes. As soon as the intro is done, we're going to discuss it. So that final shot there that we saw, the final 5 or 10 seconds, this is where we see 14-year-old Platina, the main character, meeting her future form as Lenneth Valkyrie after her death. So she's just died. She committed suicide because she gave up life. She gave up fighting. Okay? Let's be honest here. She gave up fighting. She had too many terrible memories. She possibly could have survived that. She gave up. She's dead now, and she's awakening. Her spirit has awoken, and she's seeing her future form, what she is about to morph into, and she's about to become the Valkyrie. This is why I wanted to show you that prologue first, because you needed to see that to really understand the backstory and see the power in that intro, and see the power in that music change to go with it, to really bring out those emotions of the scene and really show you just how serious this scene is and how critical that moment was. They really ended it off good. They did a great job transitioning. There was a huge transition there. The music prior to that was very upbeat. That music right at the end there is a great example of what turned this from a good intro into a great intro. Perhaps some might even say that was a masterpiece of an intro. The combination, everything combined together, came together perfectly, creating a memorable introduction that you, the player, will never forget. When you think of Valkyrie Profile, after you've played the game, you come back many years later. When you think of this game, you will remember that introduction, and you will remember that prologue as well. And you will think about them when you think about this game. So dare I say that the combination of music a great intro, a great prologue. All of those combined turn this great game into an all-time classic that some might even call a masterpiece. Guys, if you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will be posting more video game music content just like this. Episode 2 is coming up next, and please leave a comment below and tell me what you thought of your playthrough of Valkyrie Profile. Do you have a favorite song?